After a long, hard week at work, it was meant to be another quiet Friday night. All I wanted to do was curl up in bed. I was going to sit down on my new couch, pour myself a glass of red wine, and finally watch that new documentary everyone was talking about. The apartment still smelled a little of fresh paint, and the lavender candle I lit hours ago reminded me that I hadn't even unpacked all my boxes yet. My name is Rachel Adams, I'm 31 years old, and I work as a project coordinator at a mid-sized marketing firm in Chicago. It's not a glamorous job, but it pays the bills, and after a recent breakup that turned my life upside down, stability felt like a welcome party blessing, or so I thought that morning at work. My coworkers had heard about my new apartment and immediately saw it as a reason to get together. At first, it was just light teasing and jokes, but by lunchtime, it had turned into planning, and I got caught up in it. "Come on, Rachel," said Josh, the office jokester with the horny brown hair and the constant grin. "You can't just move into a new place and not have a little welcome party. It's almost illegal." "I don't know," I said, stirring my coffee and avoiding eye contact. "It's barely furnished and I'm still unpacking. It's not really party ready." "Who said anything about a party?" chimed in Melissa, the team's go-to organizer. She always had her nails perfectly done and her planner color-coded. "It's just a chill night with coworkers." "We'll bring chill night everything. You don't have to lift a finger. I'll even bring food," added David, the quiet one with surprisingly good taste in restaurants. "You like Thai, right?" I hesitated. Every instinct in me wanted to say no, not because I didn't like them, I actually did, but after everything I'd been through lately I wasn't sure I had the energy to host, even if all the hosting meant was unlocking the door. Still, the three of them stood there staring at me like eager puppies, and maybe a small part of me didn't want to be alone again tonight, so I said yes. By 8 p.m. my doorbell rang. They came bearing takeout drinks and a Bluetooth speaker that Josh insisted on controlling. Before I knew it, my small living room turned into an after-work version of our office, but it was much less serious and more fun. At first, we laughed a lot and told stories about work mishaps, clients from hell, and the time our manager accidentally replied to an email chain meant for corporate. It was exactly the kind of low-stakes, easy energy I hadn't realized I was craving. But as we ate our pad thai and spring rolls, the conversation changed. "You guys ever think about just quitting?" Melissa said all of a sudden, moving her half-empty takeout container to the side as if she were walking away and starting over somewhere else. Josh let out a dramatic gasp and said, "You miss color-coded calendar wants to abandon ship." "I'm serious," she said, leaned forward. "I got offered a position at a startup in San Francisco, double the pay, remote friendly. It's risky, but I'd be stupid not to consider it." David raised an eyebrow and said, "You've been holding out on us." "I haven't accepted yet," she replied. "By the way, we've all been at this company for years. Maybe it's time for something new." I didn't know what to say. Melissa was one of the people you could count on. I knew that if she was thinking about going, what did that mean for the rest of us? I had the same thought. David looked up and said, "You guys know I've been freelancing on the side, right?" No one knew. "Well, I have, and I've been getting more gigs lately, websites, branding work. It's paying better than my salary, and a few clients have even offered me retainer deals." "Surprise, are you kidding me?" he asked. "Nope, I'm thinking about giving my notice by the end of the month." Josh leaned back and threw a pillow into the air. "Well, if everyone's making confessions, I guess I should mention I signed with a manager last week." "That's right," he said, "those stupid skits I post on TikTok, apparently someone liked them enough to offer me a few gigs in New York clubs and some social campaigns. It's still early, but it's real." Melissa's mouth fell open. Josh laughed and said, "That's both amazing and scary. But I'm really thinking about giving it a try." In just 10 minutes, I learned that my 3 closest coworkers were all secretly planning their exits, and not just random leaps but well-thought-out turns into better, more satisfying versions of their lives. Everyone looked at me with shock. "Rachel," Melissa asked gently, "what's your dream move?" I laughed and said, "I don't think I have one. I just moved, I just broke up with someone after 5 years, I'm barely keeping my plants alive, dream moves aren't really in my vocabulary right now." Josh smiled and said, "Maybe that's exactly why you need one." I shrugged it off, but the thought lingered in my mind long after they left. By 1:30 a.m., they had all gone home, leaving me alone in front of the TV, with empty containers still lying around. I cleaned up in a day, throwing away napkins and packing up leftovers, but my mind wouldn't settle. Their words kept playing over and over again: risks, dreams, regret. Regret really doing with my life. I poured myself another glass of wine and pulled out my laptop. Buried deep in an old folder was something I hadn't touched in over 3 years, my college blog, where I wrote about everything from stories to feelings to weird things that happened in my daily life. I had a small following at one point, but I stopped when life got too busy, or maybe when I was too scared. Without thinking too much, I opened a blank post and started typing. It came out of me like a storm. Everything I had been holding back, the breakup, the move, the loneliness, the laughter that night, and how it all felt like a sign, was released by 3 a.m. I wasn't expecting much. I wasn't looking for likes or approval. I just needed to feel like I still had a voice and that I mattered. By the end of the week, one of my posts went semi-viral, and by the end of the month, I had a steady stream of comments from strangers telling me how much my writing spoke to them, and even a few offers for guest posts and paid writing gigs. Things took off from there. I started freelancing in the evenings, taking on small brand writing jobs, then bigger ones, until I found my rhythm and my confidence. 6 months later, I quit my job. I now live in Portland and work full-time as a freelance writer and content planner. I have clients all over the country, my blog is growing, and most importantly, my life feels like it's finally mine. Josh is now living in New York and performing regularly. He was even in a comedy show. Melissa started working at a startup and was recently moved to VP. David just hired his first employee and runs his own branding agency out of his cozy home office. We still stay in touch and send each other updates, links, and happy messages, but every time we talk, we always talk about that night when I let 3 coworkers into my home.